guys, welcome back to Kuma Reviews. This wasn't one I was looking forward to, but a friend of mine showed me he owned it, and I had to buy it freaking immediately. Like, he showed me one day, and I literally had it bought and to me within 3 days of that or whatever. So, one of my favorite anime is Demon Slayer. And the lead character, Tanjiro, Aniplex, they made this cool figure of it under their BUZZmod line. I'd never heard of it. It's 1/12 scale, so let's go ahead and get it measured. You can see the sculpt is incredible here. It's about 5.5 inches on the dot. He is a child. He's on the shorter side, so it's 6-inch scale, if that makes sense. All right. So 5.5 inches. Just giving you guys a roundabout. And really quickly, just because I know even though I used a freaking ruler, somebody's going to ask me. Here it is with, let me actually... I was going to get a third-party figure art, but let's go ahead and do official, because we're doing licensed products here on this review. Don't want anything to come off funny. I respect the Bandai gods. There he is next to the newest version of Piccolo under Bandai's SH Figure Arts line. And Piccolo measures, he's a bigger antagonist from the series. He's about 6 3/4 from what I'm seeing, so he falls right in line with those 6-inch scale figures. But he's proportioned a little bit differently because the animation style is different. You know, they have the bigger heads and kind of smaller bodies to represent children and the like. Now, one thing about this figure, I've never gotten anything from Aniplex before, and if you're Googling this, I've noticed that they do statues as well, so if you Google Aniplex Tanjiro, it's going to be kind of tough to find the actual articulated figure because there are a lot of statues and stuff like that listed, and this seems to be a little bit more rare, more sold through. So make sure, I believe it's their BUZZmod line that does the actual articulated figures, if I'm tracking correctly. This is just what I've asserted from Googling, but Aniplex BUZZmod Tanjiro. But anyway, with the figure itself, really cool sculpt. One thing I'm not really into, it has those Reveltech style, like double joints in between the body and the shoulders. But you put them down or whatever, and it hides it pretty well. Outside of that, it looks a lot better than what I saw from like Figma, for example. And that one I just wasn't going to buy. I've been fooled too many times by good old Good Smile and their incredible sculpts, but then they're lacking articulation. But this sheath, I believe it's called the Nichiren, comes out. Does it come out? Yes, it does. I just put it in, but I'm like, how did I put it through? And then he has a unsheathed version of the sword as well. In fact, let's go ahead and take the camera off the stand and go over all the accessories. And hopefully you guys are liking the white background and stuff like that. I normally shoot on white, so this makes it a lot easier for me to just turn around and shoot. I finally figured out how to both film and shoot without changing my lights or anything like that. So he has his angry face. This face is random as fuck in the anime. More like a confused, just whatever face. His ability is called, I believe it's Dance of the Fire God. And there are some effect pieces from that. He has kneeling legs that you can peg into his hips, as well as a mat. That wooden box that he keeps his sister in, of course, who's infected with the demon curse, as well as his robe. So we'll go ahead and go over the articulation quick, and then we'll go ahead and get that robe on him. Because his articulation doesn't change, but it's cool to be able to see the joints while I'm doing it. So again, he has double joints. And it's nice that his shoulders extend, especially when you're using the sword and the like. But then you gotta kind of figure out, you know, with two joints, getting them in sync with each other. Single jointed elbow goes just past 45 degrees to the point where I'd call it 45 degrees. Now, the second shoulder joint has a peg here, and he does have bicep swivel. That's really similar to like Figma or even the like fighting body from Bandai. So if you're used to Kimetsu and stuff like that, that would be it. All right. So the hands peg in, so they rotate, and then there's a single rocker. You could choose which way you want it to rock, but that's it. There's no all around like you have with ball joints and stuff. Now parallel goes pretty high. Waist, you could see here that there are multiple joints in the waist. So this turns, but this does turn as well. All right, and it does do a full 360. So let's go ahead and back bend because you have those multiple, and then ab crunch, and it's not really the prettiest. And even though he looks fine without the robe on, I think he's a character that's kind of meant to have his robe up to cover some of this up. Now the hips, outward, forward, backwards, and this is more of a soft plastic here, so there's bend in it. The knee joint here, I really like this knee joint. All right, about 45 degrees. Ankle rock. And this unpegs or whatever. So, yeah, that's kind of just what it is. It doesn't come out super easy, but while you're fiddling with it like this, of course you're prone to it. So there's that. Forward. And then the toes go forward as well. All right. And I'm not going to do anything fancy-dancy with the poses, but I am going to go ahead and get his robe on here. All right, just looking at the time I had left for the segment. It's like a real garment. Okay, so my friend Brian, when I was going over this, he showed me something pretty cool. Now this is meant to be a little bit loose, a little bit long in the arms, but if you want to tighten it up a little bit, this is wired through here and then through here as well. You can take this piece and pinch it a little bit in the back, and that'll pull the arms up some. Alright, now that we've got that on, get the camera over a little bit more, turn that a bit. Give you guys one more. And there we go. Let's start looking at some of these accessories. Alright, so we're just going over some of the different accessories. Got the sheathed sword. And there's just a loose part of the belt there that goes into. Now with the bag, the easiest way that I found to do it, it unpegs from both the top and the bottom. Now note how I have it, because they bend a specific way. You want the tops to be the more narrow, and then the bottom part to be the where it comes out. But it's hard because the it's so baggy, the whatchamacallit, the robe, that it's hard to see through. Especially trying to do it around a camera and all that stuff. But I think this time I just got to concede that my hands are going to cover it up a bit for you guys. My apologies, but trying to explain as I go. Alright, so one side's on. And technically you could keep one side on regardless and just slide it up. But now it's getting the other side on. Oh, that wasn't that bad. Okay. And one thing I noticed, I didn't go over the neck articulation. I'll do that when I go over the alternate faces, since we're zoomed in on the head anyway. And even when it comes to the accessories, I feel like this is a pretty inclusive piece. I mean, what more are you really going to ask for? Okay, so I did brighten things up a little bit here. A little bit dark for my liking. The color balance from what I'm seeing in my LCD, just so you know, that's correct. It is kind of a pale-ish tone, but there is a brown hue to his skin, so don't think it's like a dead tone or anything like that. He's just light olive. So the way that the articulation. So pretty standard stuff on the head. And then the neck, where the neck meets the clavicle area. I don't know if that's a ball joint or what, but that's its own little thing. So that's that. Now for the faces, they just pull off the front. You see there's a single peg there. So we'll go ahead and look at the angry face first. And these slide in really nice and tight, by the way. So, angry face. And then that kind of derp anime face is what we'll look at next. They're all anime faces, but you know what I mean. Certain types of expressions and stuff like that you're really just not going to find anywhere else. Okay. And there's that. That's a really neat inclusion. But yeah, those are the different faces. Let's go ahead and look at some of these weapons, accessories, whatever. Okay, so we got him here with the sword. Let me center him, actually. Let me get this over here. And I'm using the Figure Arts event exclusive stands. The ones with the Dragon Balls as the base. Now, with this piece here, honestly, both of these effect parts, I don't really know what the bleep to do with them. So, I'm going to do something similar to what I saw on the back of the box, the art or whatever. And I mean, if you want to do some photo trickery, whatever, I mean, you can kind of bring it in, but there's nowhere for it. Like, even though it has a slit there, it doesn't really slash it or like peg into the sword like that. So it makes no sense to me. So I mean, you can kind of do a dealie where you got part of it off camera, like that kind of thing. But I mean, there's not much you can really do. You could have him go ahead and even bring it down. Right. Darken it some. See if we can't make something happen with it. This is one that my friend Brian went for while I'm unpacking everything. But he had something similar to this. Let me get this crap out of the way. I'll lower this. You know, something similar to that. But I wish it was an effect that could attach to the sword while he's actually slashing. That'd be great. And okay, this thing here. It's a big old flaming ring, but nothing to attach it to, like, in terms of just even a peg through it for, like, a Tamashi stand or something like that. That would have been nice, but, ain't got shit. But right now it's kind of leading on him and stuff, and it's still a good look. I can dig that. Okay, and with the flame effects here for the Dancing with the Fire Gods. I had the damnedest time figuring this out because this does not come with instructions. This is filmed after the video was filmed, already processing on my end. I just happened to scroll past a product listing that showed how this works. So basically, this piece, as you can see, works as a stand for the big round piece. I had filmed this saying I don't know how this is supposed to go. Yeah, but basically that's it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward once you get it. Yeah, and I actually really like it a lot. It's an awesome freaking effect piece. So I dig what they did with this. Very much so. And yeah, now I have to refilm my ending and stuff like that. Or you know what? Actually, I'm going to say in the ending that I wish they put a little bit more fit and finish into the thought behind these two pieces and them not having anything to like tab or peg into. That was obviously filmed before I filmed this part, so disregard that. This is actually a really cool effect piece, and I absolutely love it. Okay, and this is just utilizing the alternate legs as well as the pad that they set into. The pad here, it has indents or whatever, creases. Well, and now one thing I've noticed, they do stay in pretty firmly, but if you tap them the wrong way, they can come out. But yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward stuff. Make sure that I'm in focus there. I really like this white background now. For videos, I know you guys are used to seeing them in my photography, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. And it's a neat little add-on. Okay, so closing this out, this has been the Aniplex BUZZmod Tanjiro Kamado from Demon Slayer. What do I think? I think it's good, but not great. At the price that it currently sells for, about $120 to $150 shipped. I paid $140 shipped. Do I think it's worth it? No, not at face value, but the fact that it is currently the definitive Tanjiro figure out there, I think it kind of justifies it in that sense. And the fact that I see this being a figure that's going to be $300-$400 down the line, just like when that Figma Deku sold out and there wasn't anything better for years until Reveltech took over, or not took over the license, but made a figure that was good, you know? Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I think that I could justify the price a little bit more if there were just little fine detail things like the effect pieces being able to peg somewhere and things like that. But as is, nah, you are gonna. This is one for people that really like Demon Slayer. Fortunately, I fall into that category. It's one of my favorite anime. So I'm smitten with the fact that I have a Tanjiro that looks like this because aesthetically and even articulation wise, I think it's the best there's going to be for a while. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The full gallery and written article will be up soon. And I'll talk to you next time. Oh, and by the way, check out my Amazon store link in my description here. It'll have a lot of the tools that I use to keep these things up to snuff, whether it's repair, whether it's getting parts separated that I can't normally, you know, like spudgers, Dremels, like all the stuff that I talk about in these reviews, they'll be right there, the exact ones that I buy for you guys to get as well. It's a nice little place for the things that I talk about to be accessible to you guys without having to find separate links every freaking time. But anyway, tell your friends, man. The more of you guys that support, the more incentive that it gives me to actually do this stuff. And I hope you guys have been well. I'll see you next review.